How about that? Brand new haircut, huh? It's not a new haircut. I get lady tonight. Actually, my lady's asleep right now. She just went on a 10-mile hike with my daughter for scouts earlier today. So she is passed out on the bed. My daughter is passed out in her bed, and my son's in bed now because it is 11:23 p.m. on Saturday, December 4th, 2021. It is Krampusnacht Eve, hence my Krampus sweater. Since probably this show is going to go into Krampusnacht. It is Fortnite Chapter 2 finale. And I'll look back at Chapter 2 and some startling news about Chapter 3. It's strange weather, including a blizzard warning in Hawaii. It's Joel Osteen is a criminal. It is baseball is in a lockdown. It's burger time. It's Christmas time. It's snow. It's gingerbread Mountain Dew. 'Tis the season. It's birthdays. It's basketball. It's Guillermo del Toro has 2 stories in here for once, which is weird. It's Nicolas Cage has a new role. It's scalpers and Spider-Man and knitted Christmas trees and women being set on fire. That's from the ref, by the way. Anyway, welcome to a brand new episode of Dylanknows. That's just some of the stuff we'll be covering within the next hour and 20 minutes, however long it may be. Some interesting stuff came up this week, but nothing too outlandishly crazy. The biggest stuff this week so far happened at the tail end of the week. Today, the Fortnite Chapter 2 finale, 4 p.m. Eastern Time earlier today. And the Spiderverse 2 trailer was dropped surprisingly with some surprising news, which we'll get into in a little bit also. We'll have some more archaeological stuff, talking about more Christmas stuff, including a forecast for who may be getting a white Christmas and who may not. Honestly, I looked at the map as like, typical, but we'll talk about that a little bit more also. We will throw some sports in there. It is birthdays, which I'll get to in a little bit. It is my quick reviews, quick takes on Hawkeye and Wheel of Time's new episodes. It's anniversaries of 2 amazingly different stuff that you would not consider to share anniversary dates, but here we are. 'Tis the season. It is December. We are now in the final month of 2021. We are 3 weeks from Christmas. Yes, 21 days. Christmas is on the 25th of December, obviously, which is a Saturday. Today is Saturday the 4th, so hence 3 weeks. So we have 3 weeks until Christmas, and I started thinking about that as like, shit, I got to get a lot more presents because I don't think I've gotten anything from my wife yet. And very minimal stuff for my kids. And my daughter's birthday is next Sunday. We've got her some stuff already and we got her big present she'll get on her birthday. But that's what's going on with that. But yeah, so it's coming up on you fast. Luckily, Amazon delivers. No matter what you may think about them, they are still the most convenient and easiest one. All right, so here we go. So let's get started with the big story for today. Big story for me, but for other people as well, you could say. Sorry, I'm going to be talking a lot here in a second. My throat's still a little scratchy. My thoughts on Fortnite Chapter 2. Now, when Fortnite first came out, I think about 3 or 4 years ago, maybe a bit longer than that, I did not think much of it. It did not cross my radar because my son was not that interested in it. And I wasn't really into video games all that much. But then I started seeing news articles across Facebook and some of them seemed interesting enough that I would put them on my show. So if you go back to some of my older shows from a few years back, when Fortnite first started, there'll be some stories about Fortnite, particularly when the Fortnite dance craze came out. And so I again didn't think much about that, and I started thinking that everybody started doing Fortnite dancing stuff, and I thought that was kind of dumb and whatever. And then my interest got piqued when I came across a storyline where people were freaking out that Fortnite was shutting down. And I thought that's kind of odd because it's fairly successful, and I don't know why it would be shutting down already. And I did a story about it. People freaking out about the black hole, which ended the first chapter, and segued into chapter 2 with a new island, new guns, new weaponry, new characters, stuff like that. Still didn't get too involved with that, which I'm now kicking myself for, and I'll tell you why in a minute. And then something surprising happened. Chapter 2 hit. Chapter 2, season 2 hit. And my son, one of his friends, Hunter, really got him into checking out Fortnite. And I remember distinctly he was invited to spend the night at his friend Hunter's house for the first time. And there was going to be another kid there. So I was worried that this kid, Hunter, and this other kid were going to maybe bully or whatever my son. And they would be playing Fortnite. So I was like, I was not sure about it, but I dropped him off because he wanted to spend the night with his friends. And when he came back, he was so excited. He'd had a fun time, great time. There was no bullying, no bad blood, whatever. And his friend Hunter taught him how to play Fortnite, and he really liked it. So he asked if he could download it. And I was like, okay, fine. I have nothing to do that. So he downloaded it onto our Switch, and they started playing it. And I was watching him playing it, and I became fascinated by the graphics, the characters, the emotes, the gameplay, and how excited my son was about it. So I thought, okay, this is kind of cool. And actually, this light is annoying me, so I'm going to just turn that off here real quick. Just get the mood lighting back on. There we go. That's better. It's better for Krampusnacht anyway. And it got really intriguing to me. So I was like, okay, this is kind of cool. So then I discovered that it was on mobile. So I said, what the hell? So I downloaded it onto my phone, and I started playing Fortnite Chapter 2, Season 2, which was the secret agent storyline, which I'll get to in a second too. And then this was 2020, and then COVID hit. My son's last day of physical school was March 13th, 2020, a Friday. And then that next week, he and my daughter stayed home from school for the first time because COVID was starting to just make its appearance felt here in the United States. And kids were having to stay home from school and learn via computer, like so. Now, they didn't have everything set up just yet because they were mailing home packets that kids could work on. So it was kind of a weird off-kilter sort of thing. And then March 23rd, a Monday hit, and COVID's getting worse. And there's emergencies, stuff like that. It's everything's getting shut down, mandates being done, and places getting shut down, stores, restaurants, whatever. So what does that mean? That means I got furloughed. Now, you all remember, if you watched the show about a year and a half ago, you understand there was a period of time where I was furloughed from my job for about 6 months, I guess. They remained open with a skeleton crew, which to me, I'm not even going to get into it. So I have many, many comments to make about that, but I'm not going to make any right now. Or I already made them on that show, so go check my playlist for my March 2020 shows. Anyway, so I started playing Fortnite even more, and so did my son. And then Apple and Epic Games got into a pissing match, and then Epic's like, well, we're never going to allow you to put our game on your phone anymore. So they shut it down after season 3. So I had to get a Switch. So I got a Switch for my birthday and downloaded the game on the Switch, and I haven't looked back since. So here I am, overly excited this afternoon to be playing Fortnite Season 2's finale's live event with my son, his friend Hunter. we've teamed up, and we've become quite a good trio squad, the 3 of us, when we can all play. And the event was crazy. But for those who don't know, Fortnite is a shoot 'em up game. It's the game we play is a offshoot of Save the World, which is a more role playing sort of immersive game that is not as popular as the Battle Royale, which is the one that's the hugely popular one, where there's the island and there's 100 of you and you get dropped on the island and you go through all these different cool things, get guns and weapons and shoot and kill each other. And then there's a storm that comes that kills your life and then can ultimately kill you if you don't get out of it in time. And all kinds of other stuff happening. It's mountains and deserts and water and housing and bridges and fancy neighborhoods and cars, animals, and all kinds of fun stuff, a beach and stuff like that. And then there's a storyline that goes through it. The island is like a repeating, like a time loop sort of thing, where you get killed, but then you respawn on Spawn Island and you go and you do the whole thing over again without any memory of who or what you are, where you came from. And there's also beings and stuff like that from other dimensions or wearing crazy costumes. We got a guy that has a hamburger for a head, or a life-size banana running around, stuff like that, crazy things as well. And then there have been other costumes and stuff like that. They have something called the Battle Pass, which when you start a new season, you pay for it with V-Bucks, which is the currency that they use in Fortnite. And you have 100 levels to hit, and each level has some sort of cosmetic, either a skin, an emote, which is the dancing stuff, a spray, which you can spray, a sticker thing you put up, gliders, weapons, back blings, we call them wraps on your weapons. There's all and loading screens. There's all kinds of crazy things. And then in the battle pass, you tend to get like 5 or 6 skins, and each one is like it's like every 10 levels sort of thing, like 10, 20, 30. And then once you get the original skins, you can get variants of their skin. They have about 5 or 6 variants. So all the way up to 100, you get at least 2 or 3 of those variants, maybe 2 of those variants. And then after 100, to keep you interested in the game, because by then the battle pass is done, it takes a little longer, but you can get more styles of the skins. So ultimately you could have like 6 styles of one skin. Like a good example is there was in this past season, there was a unicorn, muscly unicorn standing on 2 legs that hawked cereal. And his original form that you get is a pink one. And then his secondary one in the past was the fire one. So his skin was orange and his mane was black. And then the remaining ones, there was like a purple, a gold, a pink one, green, whatever. So you had a whole bunch of different styles you could get as well. And that was for the other skins you get in that too. And then there's also a shop, which is going to have other skins and wraps and emotes and music and loading screens that you can pay for with V-Bucks if you want to have different skins than the ones you get from the Battle Pass. So that's always fun. That's how Epic makes its money. But it's all part of, there's a whole underlying mythology and storyline, and it's too complicated to get into in this short span of stuff. But needless to say that each season has a theme. So Chapter 2, Season 1, because I was in Chapter 2 and we just finished Chapter 2, and that's when I started, was just sort of a getting used to the new island and getting into stuff, and it happened, and just getting used to stuff. And there really wasn't any major theme that I recall. It did take place during Winterfest, which is the Christmas event that they do. And that year they did the 14 days of Fortnite, where there was a cabin you could go to, and every day, 14 days leading up to Christmas, you could open a present, and each one would be a free cosmetic or emote or skin or whatever. And the one skin that I covet more than any other in Fortnite is the Christmas tree skin, which you could only get during that event. So they've never put it in the shop, and there's no other way you can get it. And the reason why I like it is because it has a built-in emote where he twists a light on him because he's dressed in this Christmas tree, and it plays a really lovely version of dun, 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 dun. And then let's see if I can find the and I have it on my Christmas playlist, so I'm gonna see if I can play this for you. And that's the main reason why I love it, is because I love this emote. Here it is, Christmas Eve playlist. I gotta get to this Tom Brady stupid ad, Hurts ad. But this is the main reason why I want this. I'll wait until he does the. Here we go. It's just a really ethereal version of this song. Dun, dun, dun. Yep. So that's why I want it more than anything, but I will never be able to get it. So, but they had that kind of stuff going on, so that was kind of cool. So then, as I said, I joined Chapter 2, Season 2. Each season tends to be about 3 months long, and that works out. But Chapter 2, Season 2, before they worked out the 3-month-long detail, was the longest season they'd ever done. It was the Secret Agent season, and they had 2 factions on the island. One was Ghost and one was Shadow. And the Battle Pass, you got to choose which one you wanted to be, and then you would get the skins for that one. And they had all kinds of, POIs where there were people that had weaponry that you could mythical weapons you can get, and if you beat them in battle and take it and use it to win your game, stuff like that. So I got involved at the tail end of that. Deadpool, this was the first ever crossover. Well, no, they had a Star Wars one earlier, but the crossovers started coming more and more. They've been crossing over with everything now, but Deadpool was one of the first ones I remembered. And there was a bunch of stuff. He was the secret skin, and there was a bunch of stuff you had to do to get his skin. And I got it. Luckily, I got it in time, but I didn't quite finish the Battle Pass for Season 2 before they jumped to Season 3, which was the all-water one, because the Season 2 live event had a massive tidal wave hit the island and flood it. And so there was new POIs, but a lot of the POIs you were used to were underwater, and they introduced sharks and all kinds of other stuff as well. And then that led to Season 4, which was the Marvel one, which was the first major crossover of all those. The Season 3 one had a crossover with Aquaman, so they do DC and Marvel. And so Season 4 was an entire Marvel season, with Galactus being the big bad and all the Battle Pass skins being Marvel characters. Season 5 was the Bounty Hunter season. Where they, it was more of a desert sort of island sort of thing, which kind of sucked because that happened during the Christmas Fest. And normally with Winterfest, they usually have the island covered in snow. They had just a few areas with snow, and it wasn't an exciting Christmas event in Season 5. Because of the desert, stuff like that. But the Mandalorian was the main skin with that, with Baby Yoda back bling. That was the main one for that. And then Season 6 was the Primal season, where the island turned primal and you could not use like regular weapons. You had to use the primal weapons. And then a lot of your weapons were bows and arrows and stuff like that. And there were creatures. There were wolves and raptors and warthogs and chickens running around. And you had all these towers that had beings on it that you had to defeat and stuff like that. And then season 7 was the alien invasion season, where one POI was pro-alien and wanted the aliens to come and save them and stuff like that and be at home there. And the rest of the time, aliens were attacking the island. And then this past season was the cubed one, which was more of a horror event where the island was getting totally messed up by these giant cubes, which, again, you'll have to hear the mythology some other time. And then the live event had us taking on the Cube Queen, and it was amazing. We took out her zombies, and then she opened up a portal, and more aliens came through and almost wrecked us. And then we were able to run into a character called the Foundation, who was voiced by and was modeled after The Rock, and I believe will be one of the skins in the Chapter 3 Season 1 Battle Pass. And Jonesy, who's like the main character through all this, he was reintroduced. He'd been missing since season 5 or 6. He was in Primal. That's right. He wasn't in 7 or 8. So he'd been missing since Primal. And we ended up flipping the island. So that we were able to flip the island upside down, and that caused a massive tidal wave, which knocked us out. And Fortnite ended with everyone's, as they had their downtime, floating in the ocean. So crazy stuff. So I've enjoyed the season so far, or the show. Here, this is what it looks like. This is what the screen is now. It's just you floating in the middle of the water. So now, originally, the new season was not supposed to start till Tuesday, December 7th. So we were going to be down without Fortnite for 3 days. However, there were some leaks that shouldn't have happened, which leaked the Chapter 3 Season 1 movie trailer and the Battle Pass trailer. And so I guess Epic decided to push up the time to 10 a.m. And that is official now because PS4 and Xboxes have already started uploading the new season. The Switch hasn't yet, but that did say that even though you've uploaded this thing, you're not going to be able to play until 10 a.m. Eastern time on Sunday. So the new Chapter 3 Season 1 will start tomorrow at 10 a.m., which sucks because I was kind of hoping to have that day off from being, well, to be fair, I don't have to play it, but I want to because I'm obsessed with the game. And I probably will stop because I do have stuff I need to do. But the Ravens don't play till 4:25, so I was going to use that afternoon from 1 to 4 to get Christmas stuff set up because I haven't fully decorated for Christmas yet. So just got to get through Krampus first. Anyway, I've talked for 22 minutes now about Fortnite. I can talk more about it, but I have enjoyed this game so far. Surprisingly, I love it so much. This was the first season, Season 8, where I got to level 334. I'd never gotten that high before. I've gotten really good from where I was in March of 2020. Obviously, playing for a year and a half now, you're obviously going to get good. Learn some stuff from my son and his friend Hunter, and we, as I said, we still play together in trios and stuff like that. I have a bunch of solo wins. I have about 141 of those through 6-7 seasons. Got a bunch of duos wins, which I play with just my son, and then the trios ones. So good stuff. So I highly recommend, and this would probably be the best time to upload and try out Fortnite for yourself. Brand new island, brand new characters, all kinds of stuff. And you may or may not like it, but I think you are going into it with a specific mindset of what it's like, and it's going to blow that away. So I'm done spouting now 24 minutes about Fortnite. So there's a lot more stuff that happened in Fortnite, but that was the big thing that happened this week. Some other big news that went on this week was found this out on Friday, I think. There's a blizzard warning for Hawaii. Now, when I saw that, I was like, for the island? I mean, does it even actually snow on the island? I was like, well, I'm sure it snows in the mountains, which it does. But I thought, I don't think it's ever snowed on the island. I don't think it can. And so that drove me a little crazy. But then I did some more research. It's a blizzard warning for the mountains. It's 12 inches of snow and 100-mile-per-hour winds, which is the definition of a blizzard. The high winds during a snowstorm and heavy snow. And I'm assuming because they're telling people to be careful and stuff like that, that you'll get some of the residual snow, I would assume, because it's 100-mile-per-hour winds blowing snow off of the mountaintops. And where does it go? It goes down. So I would assume they're going to get something at least. It might not lay, or if it does, it'll be very quick because that sun's going to come out and like melt it quickly. But that's kind of crazy to hear about that. I figure since we're talking about snow, may as well just go back to the end, fast forward to the end here. It's December, and it has not snowed in Denver, Colorado yet. Now, that sounds like a weird headline, but here's the rest of the headline. Has never, ever been reported before that it never snowed in December or by December. Usually you get a good snow October, November, whatever. It's December 4th. They still don't have snow yet. And that has never happened in Denver, Colorado. Now, obviously, we have, 28 days, 27 days until the end of the year. They could still get some snow about that. But right now, it is something that has never happened. The fact that it has not snowed in Denver yet. In the season, when I guess the snow season, whenever it starts in Denver, maybe September-ish, whatever, it hasn't snowed yet. Which, let me reiterate, has never happened before in Denver. I was going to wait till the end, but I may as well talk about this now. They gave the U.S. Meteorological Society gave the potential for a white Christmas. I live here in Maryland, the midpoint of the eastern seaboard. And because of our location, we're in a unique area where we can get, some of the colder weather from Pennsylvania on up and some of the warmer weather from Virginia on up. So we get both hot and cold all the time. Our mountains out to the west always seem to get more snow, obviously, because it's higher elevations and it's colder out there. And a lot of the snow that falls hits around the border between Pennsylvania and Maryland, which Reisterstown, where I am from, is literally about 5 to 10 minutes away from, maybe about 10 minutes away from the Pennsylvania line. So when we had that one year, like 2010, I guess, 2011, one of those times when we had the 3 blizzards in a row, we got the heaviest aspect of each of those blizzards here in Reisterstown of the whole state of Maryland because of our location. Because once you get closer down to Baltimore, you've got the air coming off of the harbor, the wind coming off the harbor, which keeps things a little bit warmer. And then you go further south, DC, it's going to be warmer down there, obviously. So we sometimes get a white Christmas. More often than not, we don't. Over the last few years, we've gotten brutally cold Christmases. We've gotten hella warm Christmases. We've gotten normal temperature Christmases. We've gotten bright, sunny Christmases. We've gotten cloudy Christmases. We've gotten rainy Christmases. And yes, we've gotten some snowy Christmases. I remember there was about, I guess, 4 or 5 years ago, because normally when the kids were younger, they used to do the Christmas pageant. And this was back when my son was little, so he hadn't done it yet. So it might have been maybe 2012, 2013, somewhere around there. So my daughter was doing the pageant on Christmas Eve, and my son wasn't. My son was being a little antsy. You're a kid. You can't sit there for too long. So I picked him up and walked him out into the lobby of the church school where this event was at, and it was coming down like crazy outside. The snow was. So once it was over, we had to get out of the car. We had to clean off the cars and my in-laws' cars, and we had to drive slowly back to our house where the snow was coming down pretty good. And then eventually stopped that night, but we still had a couple inches on the ground. And so when we woke up Christmas morning, it was still snow on the ground. So you could conceivably call that a white Christmas. There was a Christmas when my wife and I first moved in together, 2001, 2002, somewhere around there, where she before we got married, we were living together, but we weren't married. We weren't engaged yet. So it was like 2000. It might have been the first Christmas, 2001 then. No, I think it might have been 2002, actually. My wife still wanted to go down and spend Christmas Eve night at her folks' house with her sister Catherine, who was younger and was still living there, and wake up Christmas morning with her folks and open the presents. Like that. Her other sister Shannon had gotten married, so they weren't going to do that. They were going to have their own Christmas at their place together as being married. So my wife wanted to do that until we got engaged and got married and had our own special time for ourselves. So she went down to her in-laws, to her parents' house, and I went to my mom's house to have dinner Christmas Eve. Driving back home that night, snow started coming down. It's like, okay, and I was able to make it back to our apartment up in Hunt Valley, actually Cockeysville technically, and it was coming down good. So I woke up in the morning, and there was at least 6 to 7 inches of snow on the ground. And the roads hadn't been plowed yet because it was Christmas. And we were supposed to try to go to my grandmother's house. So my wife had her Jeep, and I think she was either going to meet me there or she was going to come home and we're going to go together. I think she was going to meet me. She was going to meet me there because she had the Jeep and she was just going to drive to my grandmother's house for our Christmas. But once I got in my car, the roads still were not clear. And I don't think it was snowing anymore. I think the snow had stopped, but it was still a lot of snow. And I tried to get out, but I couldn't get very far. So I said, screw this. So I was able to make my way. It took me a while, but I made my way back the half mile, if that, back to my apartment and just called my parents, said, I'm not coming because of the snow. Let grandma know. And I called Dawn and said, hey, I'm not going. So you can either come home with me or stay at your folks' house. I don't care what everyone does. So she came home and we had Christmas at our apartment instead of with my grandmother. So that was interesting. So those are really the most recent times I remember us having white Christmases. So this new map for this year has it Maryland between 25% and 75% chance of snow. The way the map looks is that obviously the further south, the 25 to 50 and the 50 to 75% line is like right north of Baltimore City. So they're going to get the 25. It's 25% to 50% chance they're going to get snow on Christmas Day. But that leaves what our area was, which is the 50 to 75. And then the 100% is just about dangling right above us. So they are anticipating that we're going to have a snowy Christmas. I will believe it when I see it. I do not believe it's going to happen. It's a little too far out. It's 3 weeks ahead of time to try to figure out what this snow weather is going to be like on Christmas. So yeah, I've been really going off. So let's try to hurry things up a little bit. This one might take a little bit of time also. New episode of Hawkeye came out. I was a little bit meh about it last week. That might have been due to the fact that it was almost the end of my vacation. I was already feeling kind of depressed about it. And the more and more I think about it, I really enjoyed Hawkeye. And then this third episode cemented it. We got to learn a little bit more about Echo. We got to see some arrow action from Kate and Clint using the trick arrows, which is a lot of fun and a really cool car chase. And then got a little bit of emotional stuff with Clint's son calling him and kind of pleading him to come home for Christmas, and Clint feeling guilty. He really wants to, but he also feels guilty that he's got to finish up this thing with Ronan. So he says, I'll be home, it, for the ugly sweater event. So we'll see what happens. And ended on a cliffhanger sort of thing. And plus there was another potential major cameo that we did not see the face of the person, just saw their arm and a chuckle that sounded very familiar. I'm not going to ruin it for those who haven't seen it yet, but it's potentially could be a game changer and would make sense in the history of Echo's character. And Echo being played by an actual deaf Native American woman with a prosthetic leg is outstanding. And the fact that she's getting her own series is even more outstanding. So could make for a very good time. So only really complaint I had about it was extraordinarily short. It was about 40 minutes long. So it was just like, oh, okay, that was quick. I was hoping for at least 10 more minutes, but I'm not the editor, so I don't know what's going on with that. Wheel of Time, I'm still sort of I like it. I'm not sure I'm loving it, but I'm watching it mostly because it's my wife's favorite book series. And she's enjoying it, I think, for the most part, though she's a purist, as it were, and so she's kind of what about some of the stuff that's in the show that's not in the books. But again, she also realized that adaptations are a little bit different than that. There's scenes of torture, which I always hate when they pop up. The bad guys got even worse. A lot of exposition, chit chat, a emotional gut punch at the end of the episode, and our heroes are starting to get back all together again. So, also good. I will watch it to the end. The final episode of Wheel of Time is Christmas Eve. Final episode of Hawkeye is December 22nd. Now, Boba Fett starts the week after Hawkeye is over, and is actually going to go 7 episodes instead of 6. So that should be interesting to see that. So that's going to lead us through February. And again, real quick, this Chapter 3, Season 1, part of Fortnite, has an end date of March 29th now. So again, that fits the 3-month window. So we'll see what happens. Anniversary time. It's a Wonderful Life. A movie that was panned when it first came out, then became a Christmas classic once it entered the public register, and the networks played it ad nauseum on Christmas Eve and the weeks leading up to Christmas, stuff like that. You would see It's a Wonderful Life almost every hour on some station. And it even got to the point where Ted Turner, in his colorization phase, colorized It's a Wonderful Life, which is an outrageous thing to do anyway. It should be in black and white. I had never seen It's a Wonderful Life because it was one of those things where it didn't really interest me, and it was all over, and it was just this typical I hate this movie without seeing it because it's all over the place, and I hate seeing something like that plastered everywhere. And then went to college, and then I think it was my freshman or sophomore year. They showed a double feature of White Christmas and It's a Wonderful Life, which I absolutely thoroughly enjoyed both of them. I didn't think I was going to do. I was the only one in the theater watching it, which is also kind of funny. So I enjoyed it very much and liked it a lot. And then right around that time, it got out of the public registry, and NBC, I think, bought the rights to just air it. So they air it once, maybe twice during the year, but that's it. It is a Christmas movie, but it's also a very, again, snapshot of a time. A lot of the stuff that is discussed in it about the runs on the bank and the Great Depression stuff and the war and all that stuff. This is a movie that takes place the 1930s and 40s. Actually takes place in 40, 45, 46, but it's a flashback that goes into the Great Depression and stuff like that. So it's not a modern film, and you don't want to modernize it. It's fine. And there's a lot of non-Christmas bits in it because it's primarily told in flashback for the most part. But still wonderful. It is is having its 75th anniversary this year. So that's a big deal. 75 years is a long time. So congrats to It's a Wonderful Life. And on the opposite side of the spectrum, today, 40 years ago, the wonderful Canadian Nickelodeon show, You Can't Do That on Television, debuted. That was one of my after-school must-watches that I watched every night, every day I got home from school. A half-hour comedy show with regular Canadian kids who did little sketches Every episode had a theme, and all the sketches backed up that one were comedy bits using that theme. They had the introduction of getting slimed whenever someone said, I don't know. Also getting water dropped on them whenever somebody said water. There was gross out jokes with Barth, the burger cook who always made awful food. The parents were morons. Teachers were over eager, I guess. And then you even did sketches where kids were chained up in dungeons, and like it had to be like a South American prison. And then you had a firing squad sketches. You had the locker room sketches where the actors would be in lockers, and they'd open the door and they'd say, "Hey, Dylan," and Dylan would pop out, and they would do like a knock joke or just a little itty bitty joke, and then boom, they would close, and then two more actors would come out and they would do a joke, stuff like that. Great show growing up. I loved it. Alanis Morissette was one of the characters on one of the actors and actresses on You Can't Do That on Television. I only remember really being in one episode, but she was on the show. Yeah, Christine and Kevin and God, I forget some. Those are the big ones I remember. Adam was another one I remembered a lot about. And there was Lisa, who the one was talked all the time. And and some of the shows were really stupid, and some were really clever and funny. I remember they did one about the Cold War, which was great, where they were afraid the Russians were going to nuke them, and it actually ended with the whole cast, getting, a Russian like telling them like, "You're in trouble now," and they look up and they drop pies on their faces, and as they play the Russian national anthem. That was hilarious. I also remember the episode where the set was falling apart as the credits were rolling. That was an amazing episode as well. So yeah, it was. So its 40th anniversary is this week as well. It is now officially December 5th. It is Krampus Knocked. So beware, if you are a bad child, Krampus will come to your door tonight, grab you, put you in a sack, and beat the living shit out of you. Yes. And good kids will get presents. So it is Krampusnacht. There is a movie called Krampus, which is out. You can check that out tonight if you want to. But yeah, it's Krampusnacht. It's great. It's a German thing. I'm German, and I love this sweater. And I have a Krampus character in Fortnite. So I have him all ready to go. So when the new season starts, I'll probably run him tomorrow then, probably, since it is, or I should say later today when the new season gets uploaded, I will probably play as Krampus. So there we go. Today, the 5th of December, is also the birthday of my niece, Kylie. Yesterday, December 4th, was the birthday of Kylie's mother and my sister-in-law and my wife's sister, Shannon. Today is also the birthday of a very cool person I work with named Shanlin. Her birthday is today, too. My brother-in-law, Jeff, his mother, her birthday is December 7th. And then, of course, the big one, my daughter's birthday, will be next Sunday, December 12th. So those are the big things coming up here in December. So that's kind of cool. As I said, this was a blizzard warning in Hawaii. Listen to what Maryland weather is going to be like. This is, again, a snapshot of what Maryland is. So it is presently 37 degrees, which is normal for a night in December. Tomorrow is going to be, well, I should say today now, because it has today's temperature on it, is going to be 48 degrees, which is appropriate for December. And it's going to be cloudy most of the day. Tomorrow, Monday, 60% chance of rain showers, 61 degrees. Yes, a almost 12, 13 degree differential between Sunday and Monday, and rain. And then we get another differential. Tuesday, partly sunny, 41. So 20 degree differential between Monday and Tuesday. And here's where the fun part steps. Wednesday, 60% chance of snow here in Reisterstown. Temperature of 36 degrees and 28 as a low. Thursday, partly sunny, 37, 25 as a low. Friday, cloudy, 46 and 30. And then look at the weekend for my daughter's birthday. Saturday, 40% chance of rain, 57. And on my daughter's birthday, 40% chance of rain, 57. So that's Maryland for you. Massive temperature changes, 48 to 61 to 41 to 36 in a span of 4 days. Outrageous. So yeah, and then my new haircut, my son got one also. Went to the old haircut place near my mom, which I used to go to all the time. It is now completely different. The owner had passed away, and another guy bought it. One of his former haircut people bought it and mixed it up, made it a little bit more modern. And it was cool. I don't know if I'll go back in because it's a little bit out of our way. I just wanted to try something different. We were going to be at my mom's house anyway, so my son was happy because he likes to get his hair cut because it always is so much. So some local news. Maryland basketball team, University of Maryland basketball team, I should say men's basketball team. Their coach, Mark Turgeon, surprisingly left the program Friday. Now, in an email they sent out, they said it was a mutual parting of the ways. But he got his $5 million payout. Or buyout, I should say, not payout, buyout. Which if you got to a point you say, you know what, I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. And you break the contract and resign, you're not going to get that bonus because you made the decision to resign. So you broke the contract, so you're not going to get that money. The fact that he got the money, it is a buyout, is leading a lot of sports pundits to believe that he actually was fired by the Maryland sports people because Maryland sports has undergone a severe black eye over the last few years. I guess Turgeon decided that he didn't want to cause any problems. Hell, you got $5 million. What would make it different if you said I was fired, Just say it was mutual parting of the ways and you can count your $5 million. So Maryland is now playing under a interim coach. They're going to be looking for a new stud coach. Let me see if Maryland actually won their basketball game. Hold on. Maryland basketball. I don't know. I thought they played yesterday, or I thought they played today at 12 p.m. against Northwestern. So we'll see how they are with this new coach. So we'll see what happens with that. And that's the beginning. This is actually the beginning of their conference schedule. So weird timing. Anyway, so that was the big story here in Maryland this week. Joel Osteen, one of these insane preachers who is not really preaching properly because he lives in mansions and has personal airplanes, and his church you can see like 100,000 people, has state-of-the-art sound equipment, and he's got television cameras and stuff like that. And I think he doesn't give the money to the poor like he's supposed to, or he gives a portion of it, but he also takes his part of it as well, which he lives in a mansion and all this bullshit. Anyway, about 7 years ago, Joel Osteen claimed that somebody broke into his house and stole $600,000. Story would make sense because, he lives in a mansion. He probably has a lot of money sitting around, whatever. So it would make sense, and nobody really thought much about it. Till this week, when a plumber was, redoing the pipes in his church, get new ones put in or whatever from the money that he was given from his congregation. He breaks a wall to, maybe lay some new pipe or whatever, and discovers $600,000 stuffed in the wall of his church. which leads me to believe that Joel Osteen did not get robbed by a typical robber. He robbed from himself. He took the money and hid it, maybe as a golden parachute and escape thing. If something happened badly, whatever, he has it. So don't know. Obviously, because no one gets in trouble anymore, nothing's going to probably happen to him. But that's kind of a serious kind of thing, you'd think, wouldn't it? That you claim somebody stole your stuff and then, oh, wait, you were just hiding it. No, sorry, I don't like it. Some more local news. Native American artifacts dated 5,000 to 9,000 years ago were discovered in a Baltimore park this week. It's always fun when you find these types of things that have, people all over probably been going to this park all the time and never noticed it until boom, there we go. Quest begins to drill Antarctica's oldest ice, the Antarctica's oldest ice. It may contain a record of Earth's climate 1.5 million years ago using gastrometers and all this other scientific equipment. I just think it's kind of an interesting story, and I thought I'd share it with you all. So Scarlett Johansson and Chris Evans have a bond. They've worked a number of movies together even before they were Black Widow and Captain America. A lot of people consider them to be almost soulmates, though they are not together in a romantic sense, but they seem to have a really good rapport. And word came out that they were going to reteam again for a movie called Ghosted. Well, apparently, Scarlett Johansson has dropped out of the movie due to scheduling conflicts. She had another movie planned already, scheduled, whatever, and they moved the date of when they were going to film Ghosted. That would interfere with the filming of this other movie, so she chose this other movie over Ghosted. I guess it makes sense, whatever. I have no issue with it. It happens all the time. Actors drop out of movies due to scheduling conflicts. It's a shame she did, because it would have been fun to see her and Chris Evans doing something other than Captain America and Black Widow. But that opens the door for another actress who's worked with Chris Evans a number of times, including Knives Out. And there was another movie that's coming out, I guess, next year with them in it as well. Ana de Armas has stepped in to take Scarlett Johansson's role in Ghosted. So Anna and Chris Evans had a good rapport in Knives Out and this other movie that they're working together on, which is, I think it's a big film. Is it the Netflix? I think it's a Netflix film that Chris Evans is doing that'll be out next year with is it Jake Gyllenhaal, something like that. I think she's in that one with him as well. So we'll check that out. So they've getting a little bit of rapport together. Not as big a rapport as him and Scarlett, but still he's got a rapport with her. This week, and this might be a little too late now because I don't know how long it's going to last, but this week meant this past week. If you went to Burger King, you might have noticed that your Whopper was just 37 cents. That was because it is celebrating its 64th anniversary, 64th birthday of being created. So I guess they took it back to when the prices 64 years ago, the price for a Whopper was 37 cents. So I guess you can do that. So go check out Burger King, see if it's still a thing, or if it's starting this week. I'm not sure. It just said this week, so I'm not exactly sure when or where, how much it's going to be, or what's going on. So go to Burger King, find out for yourself. Candy cane cookie dough from Pillsbury, and the little, the rolled things where you could actually just slice it off and put it in your mouth and eat it raw if you want to. But in the end, most people just cut it up and it's like perfectly already squared. You put it onto your tray, put it in the oven, and it melts into the cookie. So you don't have to go into the whole, make the batter and do all the stuff like that. But there's a candy cane flavored cookie now out for the holidays, and mint. I like mints in general by themselves. When you mix mint with other stuff, it doesn't work for me. I have a aversion to chocolate and mint, which is a Andy's candy event, which I told you before about on my Thanksgiving episodes. So I'm not going to get into that again. And just, mint with other stuff just doesn't seem to taste right to me. Maybe that could also be the alcohol. There's an alcohol that tastes like minty stuff that I didn't like. I got sick on also, so I don't know if that has something to do with it. But in the end, I don't know if a candy cane flavored cookie from Pillsbury is something that I would be interested in eating. But I figured, I may as well let you guys know, make your own decision on that. Now, this is actually really kind of bizarre, but actually gets me kind of excited about what could possibly become. You may or may not recognize the names Ron Clements and John Musker. They are animation directors who've directed some of Disney's highest profile animated films, including The Little Mermaid, which was the film that brought Disney back from the brink with that started the new wave of Disney films. They directed that one. Their next movie after that was a little movie called Aladdin. After that, there was a little bit movie called Hercules. And after that, The Princess and the Frog. 4 classic Disney films in the last 10 to 12 years. Ron Clements and John Musker were the directors of those. Well, they have moved on from Disney. And Warner Brothers Animation has picked them up, and Ron Clements and John Musker of Little Mermaid fame and Aladdin fame will be making for Warner Brothers Animation, which does the animated DC Comics movies. We'll be doing an animated movie of the Metal Men, which is an outstanding comic series about a scientist that has created 5 humanoid metal men made of everyone. There's gold, there's silver, there's bronze, there's mercury, and they all have the personalities of. And then there's a female one. I forget which one that is, and I think there's another one after that. They share the personalities of that metal. Like Mercury, even though he's fast, he's also a grumpy little guy, and Gold is like the head guy, and there's Platinum, I think, is in there as well. And they're great characters with a really clean design, and it'll be really interesting to see what Ron Clements and John Musker are going to do with this movie. So I'm really excited for that, and that might actually be one I might check out. Speaking of the DC animated universe, a lot of people believe that they have the best. Their animation department is one of the best at adapting comic book stories. You've seen, they do like all the Batman stories. They've done Long Halloween and Dark Knight Returns, and what's the other one? Hush, and then they've done other ones. They've done some Superman ones and some Wonder Woman ones and some Justice League ones, stuff like that. And they also are the ones that did the Batman animated series, Superman animated series, Justice League animated series, stuff like that. So they're pretty popular like that. Well, they've had a ton of these animated films, all with different voices, actors voicing Batman and Superman, all this stuff. And then some were the same actors repeating, doing the voices in films that were all set in the same universe, that sort of thing. Well, there's a report now that DC Animation is working on an epic Crisis of Infinite Earths animated trilogy, which will have all of these different animated movie characters interacting in the Crisis on Infinite Earth story, which is impressive if they can actually pull it off. I think it should work out pretty good. It sounds like a good idea if they can pull it off, and if anyone can do it, the animation department at DC or at Warner Brothers can do it, because they do a really good job of that. And with it being animation, you can do a lot more with the stuff than you could in a live action series. So it should be an interesting get to see what that is and see if it actually comes to fruition. Also in the DC universe, this time in the live action version, another show from HBO Max, which is making the rounds here. Peacemaker had his new trailer come out with John Cena and the guy who directed the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, James Gunn. The new Peacemaker trailer came out, and it's continuing the insanity and looks to be a really good show, only on HBO Max. I don't think it's enough to get me to get HBO Max, but it might be intriguing enough that once the series is over, if they ever release it on Blu-ray, I will pick it up and probably watch it because it looks pretty good. John Cena loves this character, always seems to be in his costume wherever he goes, and James Gunn is very proud of it as well. Toys R Us is supposedly returning with ice cream and a 2-story slide. So I don't know if it's going to be more standalone stores. This year, it is in Macy's. So if you go to a Macy's, there's going to be a Toys R Us section in your Macy's. So I don't know if next year Toys R Us is finally going to get back on their feet and have their own stores again with a new take on things, including ice cream and the 2-story slide. So we'll see if that actually works out. Weird Al Yankovic announced a 133 show tour. Oops, my wife just got up. A 133 day concert tour that's going to go across the entire country from January to October. So I was like, oh, that'd be kind of cool. So I was looking at the schedule. Not going to come to Baltimore. Closest he comes is Washington, D.C., near the end of his tour. And before he goes there, he goes to multiple places, or he goes to one place multiple times, like Columbus, Ohio. He goes once in like February and again in like July. And it's just like, okay, this in Maryland, that's I'll give you a little breather on that one. So we'll see. Maybe they just couldn't time it out, but that is, yes, the closest you're going to come is Washington, D.C. So if you want to go see Weird Al Yankovic and you're in the area, go to Washington, D.C. I think he might be going to Philly, so he'll probably be in Philly also. But the fact that he is completely ignoring Maryland kind of pisses me off a little bit because I know he's been on Pier 5 before. Because I remember I was thinking of getting tickets for me and my boss Jack because we both like Weird Al and it'd be cool to see that, but that never came to fruition. So a little disappointed in you there, Weird Al, but I'll let it pass this time. A new species of armored dinosaur has been discovered in Chile with a weaponized tail never before seen on any other dinosaur. So basically, you can say they found a new species of dinosaur. They apparently find new ones all the time. So it's pretty wild, neat stuff to find out about that. Everyone's been talking about the No Way Home stuff that's been going on with the new Spider-Man movie coming out December 17th. Will Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield be in it? There's all kinds of conspiracy theories, and they're doing the circuit, and there's all kinds of stuff. Tom Holland is retweeting GIFs featuring Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. It's a whole big thing. They asked Tobey Maguire, "Are you in the new Spider-Man movie?" He's like, no. I didn't really answer the question. So it's probably the worst kept secret. They probably will be in there. So, but they just want to keep it as a surprise. So we'll see. But the media gleaned on something that Tom Holland said a couple months ago. When he said, if we do another series of another Spider-Man movie, it'll be completely different than what we're seeing now. And that led people to believe that, oh God, Tom Holland is not going to do Spider-Man anymore. He wants to quit doing Spider-Man. He's going to, they're going to have to recast it again for a fourth Spider-Man, and they're going to have a new trilogy and have a whole new thing. We're going to have to go through this BS again. When he said that, my first inkling was, he's not actually saying I'm not going to be Spider-Man. He's saying it's going to be different than the Home trilogy, which leads me to believe that, at that time, I thought he would be coming back but the storyline would be completely different, meaning that hopefully he wouldn't have these mentors that he has in the Home trilogy, that this second trilogy that was potentially could come would be a growing up of Spider-Man as he's starting to get older and work out on his own and figure stuff out for himself, and do things by himself, and so on and so forth. And I was going to be all for that if they decided that, but then it just sort of disappeared and didn't come back till this week when Sony and Marvel announced that Tom Holland will be coming back for a new trilogy of Spider-Man movies coming up really soon. So after the Tom trilogy is done, so I would expect probably the next one to pop up in about 2 to 3 years. So keep an eye out for that. That's pretty good, right? Yep. Adele, who just released a new album, has decided that she's going to take up residence in Las Vegas for a little bit, which is not a bad sign at all. It just means being a headliner in Vegas is actually a really good deal. It's good money. It's steady work. And instead of you traveling, people will come to you, and you can do a concert in your own venue. You can stay on the premises or rent a house on the outside, and you don't have to do it forever. I think Adele's only doing it for maybe 6 months or a year or something like that. Michael Jackson, before he passed away, was going to, if he was healthy, we could be seeing Michael Jackson in Las Vegas right now, which would blow people's freaking minds out. I think Celine Dion, who at the height of her popularity in the late 90s, early 2000s, she went to Vegas, and I think is still there, actually. And that's also a place where if you realize that your career might be going down the downslope, or you're getting older and you don't feel like traveling anymore, this is the best deal, because the Vegas casinos will pay you a shit ton of money just to hang out in a theater and sing songs every day to get people to come to the casino and see this stuff. So good for Adele on that. I have no problems with her doing that. I think it's absolutely fine. It's it's her career to do whatever the fuck she wants. But I think if anyone's razzing her, I think it's a bad idea, because it's a bad idea about razzing her. It's a good idea to do these residencies because it's easy money, and you get to do your craft, and you don't have to travel. Makes sense to me. An Israeli preteen has discovered a rare silver coin that was minted during the Jewish revolt against Rome, which was a really long time ago. But he found a young kid, preteen, 10, 11 years old, found this coin, and it's historic. There's another coin storyline here, but I don't know if I can find it right now. So you just have to wait. So we'll be doing another coin story here in a second. Yeah. Kobe Smulders will be joining the Secret Invasion storyline, which makes a lot of sense. She'll be reprising her role as Agent Hill. It makes a lot of sense for her to be in the story because she was in the story in the comics, and she's Nick Fury's right-hand man, and it's Nick Fury's story, so it makes sense for her to show up for that. There's a lot of cool stuff happening robotically. Scientists have created the first robots that can reproduce. Robot sex, baby, yeah. But between two robots, they can reproduce and create more baby robots. So they created that. They also created robots that have strangely realistic human facial features. And they showed the viral video going of the robot, moving his head around going, yeah, going through all the facial emotions, and just like, that's kind of weird, isn't it? It's really kind of weird. But whatever. It is what it is. Here's the other coin story. In someone found in a candy tin one of the first coins struck in early North America before they were actually an American country. When they were still under the foot of England, they minted coins for usage, whatever, in the colonies, and someone found one in a candy tin. So that's a pretty big deal as well. The Golden Girls will be getting their first ever Golden Girl convention. Considering there's only one left, I doubt Betty White will show up there, but you never know. But it is a convention strictly for fans of the Golden Girls. I mean, you have a convention for everything else. Why not the Golden Girls ones? I'm not going to judge. Whatever, man. Whatever. We have bronies, which are a convention where guys who like My Little Ponies get together and do stuff. So who am I to say anything? On the I'm going to puke range, Heinz and Terry's, which I guess is some sort of specialized company I never know about, have created the first ever chocolate orange mayonnaise. Those three terms should never be together. Chocolate orange and mayonnaise should never be together. Chocolate orange is okay, but not chocolate mayonnaise and not orange mayonnaise. That does not work. But yet here we are. Chocolate orange mayo is now a thing. I should have named this episode Chocolate Orange Mayo, but I wanted to be clever with the 420 reference, so there we go. Cinnamon Toast Crunch is one of the more popular cereals out there. It has spun off a fantastic coffee creamer, and now we have Cinnagram Toast Crunch coming out now. So it's graham, like golden grams, but covered in the Cinnamon Toast Crunch topping. So there you go. What the hell is that? Oh, hundreds of packets. That's what it is. Okay. This was an interesting story. So in Tennessee, there's a house in a neighborhood that has an abnormal amount of Amazon boxes. There's so many Amazon boxes being delivered to this house that they are outside in the yard, on the porch, and spreading across their yard down towards the sidewalk and the street. Now, first of all, it looks really, really bad. It's not, go past a house that has all these boxes on the outside. It doesn't look good. It's not a good look. So these people called the neighborhood watch people and complained about it. And they tried to get in contact with people in the house, but no one seems to be answering the door. And yet these packages are still out there, free for anyone to steal or getting, caught in the rain and snow, whatever. This is in Tennessee, so probably more rain than snow. But regardless, they have this house that has all these packages. Now, reading the comments, people are like, oh, let people, buy what they want, to do whatever they want. They can. It's not what are you worried about? It's not your money, so on and so forth. First of all, that's not the point. The point is that you're making your neighborhood look bad and junky. Plus, you don't have them inside. So there are nefarious people out there who will say, oh, free shit, and go and steal it. They won't care what's in it, but it's free shit. Now, the biggest rumor about what's going on with that is they believe that it actually is not someone ordering an infinite number of boxes. No, instead, they believe that the local Amazon warehouse there in that town in Tennessee is so damn full that they need a spillover area. And somehow they found out about this house. Either the owner works for them or they own the house or something. So they decided to use it as a as an extra warehouse. So that's what those boxes are. Now, the problem with that is, as I said, is that they're just leaving the box on the outside of the house. If this was a warehouse, you wouldn't want to have somebody go into that house and take all that shit out of the yard and sock it up in that house somewhere. And then, when it needs to be delivered, the trucks can come and get access to the house and pick up the packages, whatever they need. So we'll see how that turns out there. Coming up in about a week or so, Steven Spielberg's delayed remake of the beloved musical West Side Story is coming out. When it was first announced he was doing that, people were screaming why remake West Side Story? I was one of those two. Why do you need to remake West Side Story? There's no reason to. And yet, with Stephen Sondheim's death, this seems very poignant or particular. Spielberg still has decided to, still make it and do it and release it. And surprise, it's getting huge critical acclaim. Everyone who's seen it seems to love it. Everyone who's seen it says it is a very good remake of West Side Story. And you have Rita Moreno, who was the original one, also in this one as well. So it looks like that this has become a film that will be in the Oscar talk in the upcoming months. So an award talk in the upcoming months like that. Disney has appointed the first ever woman chairman in its 98-year history. So that's good for Disney to start moving up in the world. Unfortunately, you'll need a telescope or binoculars for this, but Comet Leonard will now be visible in the earthly skies. You might be able to see it with the naked eye, but it's going to be very faint. But what's interesting about it is that it has not been seen near Earth in 70,000 years. So, I mean, the comet itself was just discovered this past summer. So, obviously, as it's approaching closer to Earth, people are able to find it better. But it's been out in the universe now for 70,000 years. And still going because, that's what the tail is on a comet is that it's a ball of ice. And as it's getting closer to the sun, it's starting to melt. And it's turning instead from water. There's some water in there, but it's more turning into vapor. And that's what the tail is water vapor of or whatever the ice ball is made of, nitrogen, hydrogen, whatever. That tail is made from it melting. That's what it is. So once it goes around the sun and heads back out to the cold reaches of space, it will refreeze and become, much bigger and not melt as much. So it's in the skies now. I don't know exactly where it is, but it's out there. So keep an eye out, look it up, and find out for yourself. Some sports ball stuff. I'm not an NBA guy, but when something record related happens, it's best to mention it. The Memphis Grizzlies were playing the Oklahoma City Thunder the other day. I think it was Thursday. Grizzlies are doing really good. Oklahoma City, not so much. And the final score of this game proved it. Memphis Grizzlies dropped 152 points on the Oklahoma City Thunder. Okay, it happens. You could if it might not be too bad if it might seem like a lot, but if OKC dropped 130 plus on there, 20, it's not a big deal being 20 points differential. They weren't even close to 100. Memphis Grizzlies 152. Oklahoma City Thunder 79. So think about that. 79, 89, 99, 109, 119, 129, 139, 149, 70 points, 150, 151, 152, 73-point differential. 73-point differential. The most I've ever seen in an NFL game is a 40-point differential. 73-point differential. A record for the NBA. So the Orioles are picked up a few free agents, spending some money this offseason to try to jump over that hump. They had a terrible year this year, but they are now 3 or 4 years into a rebuild, and this is the year that if this rebuild is going to work, the Orioles are going to have to win at least 50 plus more games to go closer to maybe not 50, maybe 30 more. You can't lose 100 games this year again, because that'll prove that your rebuild is not working. The kids that you've picked up and have been simmering in the minors for the last few years are starting to come up now. The Orioles have already placed a bunch of their young studs onto their roster that'll be starting the season off. And they picked up some cool free agents, high pricers, $7 million here, $8 million here. Good ones, an infielder who's really, really good, and a pitcher who's okay, but has potential to be pretty good. So the day after they signed the $7 million pitcher, Major League Baseball owner said, guess what? We didn't sign a deal with the Players Association. We're locking everybody out. So baseball is now officially in lockdown again. Last time this happened was 94, 95. Might have been before then also. Might have been another lockdown before then. But in 94, 95, it delayed the season. Excuse me. And we'll see if it delays the season this year. Spring training doesn't start till February. So they have until February to work out deals for the Players Association deals and between the owners. So I'm not, again, right now, I'm not really paying much attention because the Orioles are terrible, but that's kind of an interesting thing that could really throw a foobar into the works, and we might have like another sort of shortened season like we had in 2020 with the COVID stuff. Now, that turned out to be a fairly entertaining season, but the baseball season didn't start till July. So that has a very real potential of happening again next year. So we'll see what happens with that. So Thanksgiving passed. We already talked about Thanksgiving last week. But every Thanksgiving for at least the last 8 years, a story gets reposted that is a heartwarming story. And I like the story. I think it's a really good story. But basically, it was about an older woman who was texting her nephew or grandson or whatever. I'm sorry. Hey, are you going to be, coming over soon? What time are you coming over? We're going to have the bird on at this time. Can't wait to see you, blah, blah, blah. She gets response text back. Who is this? I'm sorry. I think you have the wrong number, but can I still come over for Thanksgiving dinner? The woman had texted the wrong person. And, she apologized profusely and said, sure, if you want to, here's where I live. If you're in the area, go for it. Come on over. And then she texted her grandson, all this stuff. And she got a knock at the door. And this woman is an older white woman, is young African-American guy is at the door and says, hi, I'm the guy you texted. You said I could come over for dinner. And she's like, absolutely, come join the family. And it has started a tradition where every Thanksgiving, that friendship started then, and every Thanksgiving, I mean, they probably interact during the year, but Thanksgiving is when they get together and entertain. I'm sure that they probably have gotten together at other times, but Thanksgiving is when they always get together. It's a really heartwarming story. I think it's a really neat story. And honestly, this news is interesting. Netflix has decided they are going to make a movie about it. And I think if done properly, it could be a really well done emotional drama similar to like The Blind Side, that type of movie. So again, they've just decided to do it. It might be ready in time for next Thanksgiving. We will see. But again, they've just announced it, so they probably don't have a writer or director or anything, but they just said, we want to do this and let's get some samples in here, and they'll get scripts and they'll figure out what they want to do and figure out who they're going to cast, direct, so on and so forth. And then they'll start filming it probably in sometime in 2022, hopefully to be released by Thanksgiving of next year. So we'll see. Cardi B, who I really can't stand, as creating vodka-infused whipped cream. So I guess if you want your whipped cream infused with vodka, hey, go for it. Some Guillermo del Toro news. Guillermo del Toro has a new movie coming out December 17th called The Nightmare Alley or something like that, I think. For years, he's been trying to get the H.P. Lovecraft story At the Mouth of Madness about Cthulhu into theaters. He wants to make this movie. He's been wanting to make this movie for decades, and it's gone through many ups and downs. He had Tom Cruise attached once, but the problem was that the distribution centers, Universals and the Warner Bros., stuff like that, they were afraid that people will not come to see a creepy horror film about Cthulhu in movie theaters, particularly if it's like a 3-hour long movie, which is what Guillermo wants to do, and it's going to cost millions of dollars. They don't feel that they're going to get their money back if they put their money into it. So Guillermo has been trying forever to try to do it. Even after winning the Oscar, he was petitioning to get it done, and no one wants to touch it because they're afraid it's going to be a massive failure when it comes to money-wise. And of course, COVID hits, and that's another thing. Is like, well, there's not going to be a lot of people come movie theaters for the next few years. So obviously, Guillermo del Toro is not a stupid person. He had a light bulb, a epiphany moment, and he decided to pitch it to Netflix. Netflix has been known to spend $300 million plus on a movie, and they get the right to distribute it through Netflix first. They can always put it in movie theaters to get a little extra notice and get into the nominations for Academy Awards and stuff like that. So it makes perfect sense because Netflix doesn't really have a rating system. So they allow you to basically do what you want when it comes to the movies. And they might grade it accordingly. They might want to try to, keep it to R and stuff like that, but they're a little bit more open-minded about what they allow through. Plus, they have the money. I mean, they're throwing money left and right to get the rights to show films on their streaming service and also make them as well. So it makes perfect sense if Guillermo del Toro is pitching this to Netflix and they listen. I think that would actually probably be the absolute best thing to do, because I don't quite know how the financials work when it comes to Netflix. Does Netflix pay to have it on their streaming service, and does that money go to the company that's distributing it? I don't know. But I think this might be it. This might actually, it makes a lot of sense. They are spending a ton of money, particularly on a lot of these anime live action series. This is a movie that he wants to make. It's an Academy Award winning director. And believe it or not, Cthulhu is fairly popular and people know who Cthulhu is. And I bet, they might not have gone to see it in a movie theater, particularly a 3-hour type movie. But if they can do it at their house, they'll probably come in droves to watch it. So I think it's a great idea. Hopefully it'll work out for him and that'll work, because I want to actually see that movie. But before he gets there, he's got another movie coming out called The Cabinet of Curiosities, and he's just cast a Harry Potter alumna and Rupert Grint. So Rupert Grint will be appearing in his Guillermo del Toro's new film, Cabinet of Curiosities, which is going to start filming probably in the new year. Only Murders in the Building, which was the surprise hit show for Hulu, starring Steve Martin, Martin Short, and that singer, female singer. I can't think of her name right now. My mind is a bleh. Has been renewed for a second season, and they have started filming the second season. And Cara Delevingne has joined the cast as well. So it's getting, good reviews, and it's getting people's attention. Alfonso Cuarón is going to be returning as a director and reteaming with Emmanuel Lubezki for a TV show with Cate Blanchett. Don't know what it's called yet, don't know much about it, but we just know that he's going to be involved with Emmanuel Lubezki, and will be starring Cate Blanchett. David Dastmalchian, who's had quite a year so far. He's in Dune, I think, and he's in the new Matrix movie. He was in the Suicide Squad. He was the guy in the Ant-Man movies who's the Russian friend of Paul Rudd's character. He is joining Keira Knightley and a new thriller called Boston Strangler, which you've got to assume is probably going to be a movie about the aforementioned serial killer, the Boston Strangler. Archaeologists discover a burial ground from the time of the exiled Sanhedrin. I just like saying Sanhedrin. My Fortnite username is Samhedrin, and my fantasy football team is Samhedrin also. That's a joke because they use that in Kentucky Fried Movie. They call it the Samhedrin and not the Sanhedrin. But I think that's kind of funny. That's kind of an interesting story. Jennifer Aniston, Catherine Hahn, Gabrielle Union, and Allison Tolman will be performing in a read-through of The Facts of Life on a special that's going to be on TV, which is going to have lots of actors in it. So they will be portraying the characters in The Facts of Life. So, pretty interesting. Deaths this week, we have Jacqueline Averett, who's the wife of a something legend, business legend, movie legend, or whatever, was shot to death this week. Eddie Malika, who played Carmine in Laverne and Shirley, who was Shirley's boyfriend, died at the age of 69 this week. Got one more page to go, so we're probably got another 20 minutes or so. Could be less than that. Curly Culp, the Kansas City Chiefs' greatest nose tackle of all time, Super Bowl winner. I think he's in the Hall of Fame also, dies at the age of 75. Lee Elder, the first black golfer to play in the Masters, died at the age of 87 this week. Former UCF and Rams running back Otis Anderson Jr. was shot and killed by his father this week, which is another awful, terrible thing. And Mr. Gox, the cryptocurrency trading hamster, has died this week as well. So, okay. Poop water again falls on fans at FedEx Field. That's the Washington football team's stadium. I've been there once. This is the second time this year that poop water has spilled from the bathroom onto fans underneath the bathroom floors and stuff like that. Kind of disgusting, and it's something that they probably need to look into. What the hell did I write there? Dinosaur hunters discovered a mammoth bone, 10,000 mammoth tusk, 10,000 feet underwater. That's kind of interesting. I have no idea. New Magic Mike film is coming to HBO Max. Channing Tatum has written a third one, and he will star in it, and it is coming to HBO Max. I talked about Stephen Sondheim last week. He passed away. Prolific Broadway writer, won the Pulitzer for Sunday in the Park with George, which is probably one of his most famous. And he did West Side Story and one of his more famous ones. But he passed away last week, and so a bunch of New York Broadway stars, including Lin-Manuel Miranda, joined together in Times Square this week and sang one of the songs from Sunday in the Park with George. And it's on video and stuff like that, and it's absolutely wonderful. Of course, Lin-Manuel's front and center because everybody knows him, and he's also the guy who set it up. But to see all the Broadway people, I mean, this was a huge huge crowd of people singing in perfect harmony, in a pure homage to Stephen Sondheim. Chucky, season 2 is a go on Sci-Fi Network. It is one of the more popular shows. It's also very popular on streaming. It has been renewed for a second season. The first season just ended this week, so it's going to be sometime probably next year, but you will be getting a second season. Rare deep-sea Pacific football fish washes ashore at the Torrey Pines State Basin in San Diego. It's one of these deep underwater sea creatures you never see somehow wash ashore in San Diego. On the same note, a giant phantom jelly fish that eats with its mouth on its hands. So its mouth is on its hands, and that's how it eats stuff. Was seen off the coast of California as well. So these deep sea animals are starting to rise up from the deep and become more into the main level. So that could be another sign of something bad happening climate-wise or whatever. So that's some interesting sort of fish news. Walmart reportedly takes out a kid's toy, removed a kid's toy after discovering it sings a song about doing cocaine. What? There's a children's song that talks about doing cocaine as part of a doll. That's kind of weird, but it's probably true. But Walmart, once they found out, they jumped on it and they took care of it. China has built a 250-acre solar farm that's shaped like a giant panda. When you look at it from the air, it looks like a giant panda. The Vietnamese mossy frog has been photographed for the first time ever, and it lives up to its name. It looks like moss, so it is hugely camouflaged, and it's actually pretty neat looking, actually. A new dinosaur Airbnb has opened up in Washington State. So if you want to go to an Airbnb that has a dinosaur theme, look no further than the one in Washington State. Japanese companies expected to build a space elevator by 2050. Now, space elevators have been a theorized way to travel into space without using rockets, and has been a staple of a lot of science fiction stuff, including Arthur C. Clarke, who did it in his final book, 3001, that's set in the 2001 universe. And then the most recent, the sequel to Andromeda Strain, since Michael Crichton is dead, he might have had a line, he might have had an idea for it, but it never fleshed out. So someone else who knew Michael Crichton wrote the sequel. And I read it. It was okay. It wasn't great, but it was okay. The Andromeda Strain's still a classic. This one was okay, but this one also detailed a space elevator. So basically, it would be a massive elevator, which I can't imagine how it would be feasible. Basically, you would step into an elevator box on the ground level of Earth, and it would take you up in the elevator shaft all the way into outer space. You could even attach it to a space station if you want, but I don't know if you could, because it orbits and that has to stay in one location. So I guess it stops at a platform somewhere, and then you can attach yourself to I don't know how that would work, but yeah. So space elevators are something, and I'm still, you would literally just be in a box going up way, way high in the air, just going up and up and up into outer space. And I don't know how airplanes would fly around it. I don't know, would the weather, once you get to the top, winds, would it shake it? How would you even freaking build it? Well, the Japanese are figuring it out because they're working on that. Ivana Sakov to star in the Ahsoka TV show. She's going to be a character in the Ahsoka TV show. Don't know who it is yet, but we'll find out when she's signed on. The moon's top layer of dust has enough oxygen in it to sustain 8 billion people for 100,000 years. Only problem is it's trapped in a layer of rock and dust, and they don't know how to extract it. If NASA can figure out a way to extract oxygen from dirt and rocks, they can create enough oxygen for people, 8 billion people, to live on the moon for 100,000 years. So they're working on that as a way to, and that could, in the end, you can maybe connect that to a Mars trip or whatever. But yeah, they're trying to figure out how to do that. World's oldest DNA was recovered in a million-year-old mammoth. So mammoths are all over the place this week as well. Perfectly preserved rope-bound mummy from 800 years ago was found in an underground lair in Lima, Peru. That's kind of weird and creepy. A giant Christmas tree that was completely knitted popped up on the outside of a church. No one knows who made it, but it is a knitted Christmas tree. That's kind of neat. Made of fabric. A woman takes off her prosthetic leg and beats a fan with it at the Las Vegas Golden was it? I don't know. Their hockey team, the Golden Knights. That's what it is. Golden Knight hockey team. So a woman took off her prosthetic leg and beat the crap out of somebody. So that's kind of interesting. An Oregon farm drops a 1,200-pound pumpkin from 100 feet in the air into a inflatable pool just for the hell of it, apparently. Don't know what the scientific uses for that is. I don't think there is anything. They just wanted to do something stupid. Ancient footprints suggest a mysterious hominid never before seen before lived at the same time as the species of hominid that the Lucy has been named Lucy. There was a link in our evolution by a hominid. They discovered a hominid and they nicknamed Lucy. They discovered when she existed and stuff like that. It's a combination. It's the evolution between monkey and man. And Lucy was one of those that's like the first one to walk upright and all that stuff. But apparently there was another bipedal being that was around the same time as Lucy's people. So that's a new problem for scientists to look into and discover. Final three stories, pretty interesting. The first one, apparently Universal Studios is not done with their Dark Universe, which they shouldn't be. They need to give it a try because the Universal monsters are good. You need to get different takes on it. I still want to see Angelina Jolie as a Bride of Frankenstein. I think that'd be outstanding, but I digress. The next film they're going to be doing is from the viewpoint of Renfield, which was the guy, the human who was brainwashed and mind controlled by Dracula in the original Dracula movie with Bela Lugosi. And it also was a character in the books, and it showed up in all the other adaptations of like Bram Stoker's Dracula. Well, they're now, as I said, making a movie from Renfield's viewpoint. Renfield will be played by Nicholas Hoult, who played the Beast in the most recent X-Men movies. And also played Jack in Jack the Giant Killer movie as well. He'll be joined by Nicolas Cage, who will be playing Count Dracula. So I can't wait to see Nicolas Cage portraying Count Dracula and see how he's going to do that. Finally, the last two stories are Spider-Man related. Just before we went on the air, they released the new trailer for the Spiderverse 2 movie, which is now going to be split into two films. And this new Spider-Verse movie is due out October of 2022. So we'll see it next year. So the first teaser for it was shown today. It basically shows Spider-Gwen jumping through a time portal to visit Miles. And they have a funny little conversation. And then she eggs him on to break his punishment, his grounding, to come out and do Spider-Man stuff. And he jumps out the window. And then all this weird scenery happens, and then it shows him going through like these time tunnels. And then Spider-Man 2099, who's voiced by Oscar Isaac, who appeared at the end of the Spider-Verse movie in one of the end credit sequences, will be becoming a major part of the story. It shows him going through the time tunnel after Miles and attacking him. So we'll see what that's all about. But it looks like it's going to be good. The Spider-Verse movie won an Oscar deservedly, and hopefully they will continue the success on that. Finally, is also another Spider-Man movie, as I mentioned earlier in the show. December 17th is the new Tom Holland Spider-Man movie, No Way Home. Everyone's speculating that it's going to bring about Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield Spider-Mans as well. And all three of them are going to team up to take on the Sinister Six villains, which have popped up in all the trailers. So the tickets went on sale this week for the movie, and it is already surpassing the final Avengers movie in ticket sales. People are going to go to the movie theater to see this so they can see Andrew Garfield, Tobey Maguire team up with Tom Holland and supposedly in this movie. They are banking on it. That's why they're buying the tickets ahead of time. But a lot of people are also saying when they go to buy them that they're already sold out or they cannot get them and they really want to see it. So the eBay people have decided, you know what? We're going to scalp these because they're hugely popular. So they're able to get a number of tickets, and they're selling tickets to see the Spider-Man No Way Home movie December 17th for upwards of $10,000. I guarantee you if I went to the movie theater right now, well, not right now since it's closed, they have like a computer generated one. I could probably find at least one ticket, maybe two, maybe four for Spider-Man No Way Home opening day or opening weekend. And it would only cost me $80 probably, $20 a ticket. But unfortunately, you probably know somebody will probably buy the scalp tickets because they really want to see this movie. I don't know. Well, that's it, y'all. The very first episode of December. Next week is my daughter's birthday weekend. Weekend after that is weekend before Christmas, and then it's Christmas. So Christmas is coming fast. So don't know what we're going to talk about next week. Well, all dependent upon what is happening this week. I will probably cover Chapter 3, Season 1 of Fortnite. Talking about it. I will also probably talk about Hawkeye's new ep and game Wheel of Time new ep as well. And then anything else that pops up. Let's see. One last check here on Krampus Knocked night. It's 1:10 a.m. Oops, don't want to do that. All right, don't see anything. Seeing all Fortnite stuff now, so they're really going all out. But yeah, there appears to be no other major storylines right here. Oh, Michigan won their first Big Ten title. They beat Iowa 42-3. So good on that. Alabama beat undefeated Georgia today. Here we go. Here's the story. A new Zorro will reinvent the character as a modern-day hacker. No, I don't like that idea at all. What? No, the whole point of Zorro is his sword fighting and the mask and stuff like that. I'll touch that. But yeah, that is it. Everything else is just everything here. So that's it. Yep. So we will stop here now. It is late. I was up late till 2:00. I'll have you up to 2:00 again today. but I'll be able to sleep in a little bit more tomorrow. So on that note, I will be ending the stream now. Thank you for watching in this 420 episode. Enjoy Krampusnacht. Happy birthday to my niece Kylie and my friend Shanlin. And next week will be my daughter's birthday, and it's official, 10 a.m. today, which is about 9 hours from now. You'll be able to play Fortnite Chapter 3 Season 1, because there's just so many leaks right now that it's just like you may as well just give up and just show everything now. I wish they wouldn't have done that. I would have liked to just see it for myself when it came back up, but oh well. I'm done. I will see you all later. Bye-bye.